When I competed, I would go up to the judge and say, "Hey, why did I score so low? What can I do to improve my work?" Because without constructive criticism, you can't grow. Because then you're always going to be stuck in that cycle, and you're always going to be stuck in
Right,
that bubble. And without knowing where your mistake is, you can't improve on it. Because then you're just going to keep doing the same thing wrong over and over and over. And I
right,
noticed that too is that people don't. They either get too emotional when it comes to constructive criticism, or they think that their poop don't stink and they don't want any criticism. They're like, oh, this judge just doesn't like me or something like that.
right,
And I think for me, it was really important to go up to a judge and say, okay, so if I'm getting such a low score, because when you compete, you have to look at it as a whole. So you have 100 points, and if it's design sculpture nails, only 10 points is the design. Then you have 10 points for first impressions. You have 10 points for lateral sidewalls. You have 10 points for C curve. You have 10 points for apex. So a lot of
right,
people put a lot of focus on the design, and they don't focus on everything else too. So you have
right.
to
Yeah.
view the whole thing as a whole in order to accumulate as many points as possible too.
Polish in my hand, I'm ready to create each nail a masterpiece. I can hardly wait. Soft pastels or vibrant hues, each tells a tale in their artistry of nails. Nothing ever fails. With each swirl and twirl, let the magic begin in this kingdom of gloss. There's no end to the wind. Gloss on my fingertips, watch them shine bright. Painted like a canvas, colors taking flight. Feeling fierce and fabulous, I'm ready to ignite. Slaying the nail game every single night. Nails and beauty talk with Asia the Bird. Nails and beauty talk with Asia the Bird.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk. I am your host, Asia the Bird. Today, we have a very special guest with us today. He is the founder of ENail Couture. Please welcome Max Estrada. Hello, Max,
Yay.
and how are you?
Oh, I appreciate the introduction.
Yes, absolutely. How are you? How have you been?
I'm good, not too bad. A little tired from a long weekend, but excited. Got lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Most definitely. So I'm going to go ahead and get started by asking where you're originally from and tell us a little about your upbringing.
Yeah, sure, of course. So where I was originally from, I was actually born in Southern California. I was born in
Oh, wow.
LA, but
Wow.
I don't identify like as a Los Angeles person or a Californian because I grew up in Arizona. I live in Tucson, Arizona, and I've lived here since I was 3. So I really
Okay.
don't have like much recollection of living in Los Angeles or growing up there. But I was born there, and I go often for work and whatnot. But I identify as somebody from Tucson because I've lived here since I was 3. So I live in Arizona.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, really cool. I want to get into as far as in regards to school experience. So tell us about like, like the upbringing as far as like school, like, grade school, college, things like that.
Yeah. So I went to school here. I did my like elementary school. I did middle school and high school here too. And actually, it was really interesting because when I went to high school is when I started taking a liking to the beauty industry too. So I was
Mm,
like about like 15, 16, and I went to a charter school so that way I could have more time in the day to do other things. And one of them
mhm.
was kind of start dabbling in the nail industry. And I also took college classes while I was in high school too because my college the school offered that. So I took
Right.
Japanese, I took psychology, which I thought was really interesting too. I
Oh,
took
that's
religion.
cool.
So I took a couple other classes. But I remember meeting with my is it a counselor, like the one that tells you what you should do with your life?
Yeah, school
Like,
counselor. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She was like, what do you want to study? And I was like, I don't know. I want to, like, I want to, do nail competitions, things like that too. She was like, you should go into humanities. And I was like, what the hell is humanities? She's like, you should be a teacher. And I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. I was like, that sounds horrible.
Oh,
I was,
right.
yeah. So I was like, I don't want to, like, one of those degrees that where you don't really like study something and you really don't do something with it.
Hmm.
I didn't want to do that. So I was
Right.
very lucky
Yeah.
that I did not pursue a college career, and I stuck with my guts, and I was an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's cool. Yeah. The beauty route, that was something that I was attracted to as well. Like, I didn't really no, well, really art was something that I really always wanted to do as, since I was a little kid in elementary school because I would do art, take art classes and things of that nature. But then when it got to like middle school, like when I was going into trying to get into a high school where I could teach, not teach, but where I could learn cosmetology, cosmetology courses like nails and stuff like that, like more like the beauty aspect of
They have
things.
like the JTED program at a lot of schools. I don't know what it would be out in where you live. Yeah, it's
Yes.
called JTED, where you can take cosmetology in high school.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my high school that I went to, they offered cosmetology, the program like from like sophomore to senior, and some other
Hmm.
career based programs. So during middle school, I had to apply for the high school that I was going to, which was North Point High School, and that's where I discovered cosmetology, the cosmetology program, because I wanted to do nails because my dad gave me this. He asked me this question at 13 years old. He said, "What did you want to do with your life? What did you want to do as a career?" I said, "I wanted to do nails."
Oh
And he
my
said,
gosh.
"If this is something that you want to do, be the best at it." So um, that stuck me ever since then. So nails was something that I've always wanted to do. I got into North Point High School, so I took cosmetology courses from my sophomore to like senior year.
Hmm.
And before I went to art school, which was SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, I got my cosmetology license. So, just all in all, I really love the artistry, of things, like being creative and being into art, and doing nails was one of the things that I was really attracted to because I seen my mom get her nails done. So, I didn't really care about the hair stuff. You know what I mean? So, of course, you have to take all that stuff to pass, but beauty was the go-to definitely.
I didn't go to school for cosmetology. I just went for nails, but it's interesting that you point out like your creative nature, your artistic nature, because I draw horribly, I paint horribly, I can't dance, I can't sing, I have no rhythm, like I can't clap to the rhythm. I'm like the least I love art. Like I wish I could draw, I wish I could sing, but I'm horrible at it. But when it comes to nails, it's a different canvas. So for me, that medium is like I'm really good. I I don't want to say I'm really good at it, but I do have, I am a very polished uh,
Hmm.
artist in that respect too, because I did train a
Yeah.
lot. One of the things I love about like when I competed, I loved like pink and white sculpted nails because when you do French, it's either black or it's white. There's no gray in between, like when you have art, because the art is up to interpretation. But
Right.
when it's French, it's either right or it's wrong. So that's what I really like that too. But I wish I was more artistic. Like I have horrible handwriting. It doesn't even look like English letters. It's I am not very like artistic when it comes to that. But when it comes to nails, it's it's a different canvas, and I'm pretty decent at it.
Yeah, yeah, right. Absolutely, most definitely. So, what were like your earliest memories in terms of nails and beauty? Was there anyone in your family that were in the beauty industry? Because you did say in your bio that your family owned a salon, I believe.
Yeah, and it's really cool that you brought up your mom too, because I have a lot of nostalgia when it comes to my mom in the beauty industry too, because I grew up. So I kind of always like to say I was born into the nail industry. Like
Hmm.
when I came out of my mom, I said pick a color. That was like the first thing I said, because
Hmm.
my mom does nails too. My mom's a cosmo. My mom's a
Oh,
cosmetologist, but she also went into the nail field of it too. So
yeah.
ever since I was a little boy, I was always exposed to the beauty industry. So I have memories of being like 5 years old and going to trade shows because back then it was okay to take your kids to trade shows. So I remember going to trade shows. I remember sitting at her salon and just like sitting at her table and
Right.
reading publications or watching her work. And I
Yeah.
just remember like being there after school and just standing next to her table and just watching her work. And it was almost like a hypnotizing experience just watching her, apply product and file it. And it was, I don't know, I never thought I would end up doing nails for such a long time because I'm first generation. Both of my parents are immigrants, so I'm first generation. So I think when you're first generation, your parents put a lot of pressure on you to be successful in
Right.
regards to, like, they either want you to be like a doctor, a lawyer, or something like that, right? Because they want you to
Yeah.
to do really well. And my parents wanted me to be a doctor,
Oh wow.
to be a plastic surgeon,
Oh Lord.
but I just ended up getting the plastic surgery instead of going to school for it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. So I want to get into it.
I
You know,
always grew up in the beauty industry, so I was always exposed to it at really young age. But when I was about 15, I remember reading about. I kind of call it the golden era of the nail industry. So
mhm,
that's when people like Tom Holcomb were very prevalent in our industry. Trang Nguyen, who was the person that trained me, Tom Bachak, Alicia Ramondo, Lisa Comfort,
mhm,
um, Lorena Marquez. All those people were really prevalent in the competition circuit,
right.
and that's kind of what inspired me. I remember reading those magazines and reading about them and traveling to Japan and working and competing and doing
Oh
and
wow.
expos and things like that too. And I remember being like 15 and saying, I want to do that too. And I guess I manifested it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing about with when you look at nail magazines like Nail Pro and Nails Magazine. Like when I first got into nails, I was the same way. I looked at the competition sector of the nail industry because I was like, wow, you could do all this on nails? Like that's really, really cool. So it got me familiar to like, like how you said Tom Baycheck, Tom Holcomb, Viv Simmons, Catherine Wong, Sam Biddle. And I've really had a chance to interview Viv, Sam, and Catherine on
Yeah,
my podcast.
Catherine and I go back a lot. Catherine is a really close friend of mine, and we even shared rooms together, and we spent a lot of time together too. She's a really cool person, and she's an incredible artist. Incredible.
Yeah, yeah, she's
Super
absolutely talented.
talented. She's super blessed.
Yeah, yeah, and she can cook too. You know.
She can, and she has a background in finance.
Hmm. Right. Yeah.
Really cool that everybody has like a different backgrounds in different things, and we all then end up in in the competition and in the nail world. And it's really cool that you point out like certain people. And when we competed, there were people that were really good at like doing like either like
Hmm.
structure when it comes to
Hmm.
nail
Right.
competitions. So there's a very big divide in between the nail competition where there's one that's art, where you do a lot of things that are on tips already pre-done, like
Right.
hand painting, 3D, fantasy. That's one sector, and then you have another one where you do more like either we had salon success back in the day, pink and white sculpted, design
Right.
sculpture nails. So I was more towards the structure of it versus the artistic side of it because I'm not very good at like painting or drawing and things like that too. So I did more of like pink and white sculpted. Um, design sculpture was one of the ones I liked a lot too, and
Hmm.
that actually design sculpture was the one I won my first trophy in.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's really
Yeah,
really amazing.
and I have him. I actually have him here. If you want to see him, I can show him to you.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I'll go get it.
Uh,
That's what happens when you're on a max. Uh, I have quite a few.
all right.
I have a few here at my office, but this one was my very first place. So this one's really special to me.
All right.
This one is when I won first place at Premiere 2009.
Oh wow. Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And I won in design sculpted nails, and the theme was purple and gold. So I did kind of like an outer space kind of theme. So I did like Saturn, and we used different shades of purple and gold.
Hmm.
So this one was really special because this was my first place.
Wow, that's really really cool.
And then this one was from 2009 also. This is when I won the record for the fastest full set of pink and white nails.
Wow.
And I did
Wow.
both hands in 12 minutes 20 seconds.
Wow, that's incredible. That's really, really incredible. And that's the beauty about nail competition. There's so much you can compete in. It's not just like the fantasy or the pink and white and things like that. There's so many that there's so many categories. And even with me in my experience, I've competed in like, specifically Nail Olympia Online, which was like a competition that Nail Olympia hosts and Scratch Magazine hosted the time of like the
I judge it.
pandemic. Oh, that's cool. That's really, really
I
cool.
haven't done the online one yet because I'm really bad at getting back to people, like via email and things like that too. I told Alex, I was like, I don't know if you want me to do that one, but I do love judging in person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm always the mean judge, believe it or not. I'm the mean one.
The thing is that like with the with the online competition, and this is like during the pandemic, like back in 2020, 2021. So like I competed in more of the artistic side of things. So I did like the mixed media, like flat art box, and I won third place in that. That was like my first medal that I ever won.
Congratulations.
And I did compete again the next year, but I didn't place or anything that time. So I think I did the same category, which was flat art box. And then I know I did also Nails Next Top Nail Artist, which was season 8, and that was an interesting experience. And it's a lot of work, and you learn along the way in terms of like how to really push yourself and really elevate your artistry. And but the only thing with the judging, I think it could have been a bit better or a bit more balanced, I would say. Even though it is a good experience to compete in nails like some nail artists, I was in, like I said, season 8. Um, I think at the same time it was a good experience, even though I think the judge could be a bit improved.
You know what? I think you bring up a really good point, and I think judging, I think it should be really blind in regards to when you know who you're judging. I think that kind of affects it, whether you say it doesn't or it does or it doesn't. Like when you competed a lot, you could tell like, oh, this is this person's nail, this is that person's nail.
Right.
When you're in the circuit a lot, you already can identify what people's work looks like.
Right. Yeah.
So, for example, like for when I competed, our team, the company that we worked for, that like Viv was also a part of it. Catherine Wong was a part of it. Trang Nguyen, who was the owner of the company, and he was the one that trained us all. We all kind of like our work kind of mimicked his because that's what we
Right.
wanted. Because
hmm
he was our teacher, so like we wanted our nails to look like his, and
Yeah.
it was
Absolutely.
yeah. So when the judges would judge, I would imagine so that they would be like, oh, these are all Trang's people's nails because all the nails look the same.
Oh, right. Yeah. 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 Right.
But I personally never was really I never participated in the nails neck tub artist because that also it does a lot with like fashion and things like that too.
Yeah.
And I've had experience at like Paris Fashion Week, and it wasn't a very it was kind of unsavory. So I kind of like don't really care for that sector of the beauty industry.
Mhm. Is it the fact of it being like, is it too fast paced? Is that the issue, or?
No, I got in trouble.
Oh, okay.
I got in trouble for talking to the models.
Oh, wow.
So I
Okay.
decided to leave the event because I don't like being talked down to.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, that's understandable. I want to get into as far as, just in terms of like for people who want to compete in nail competitions. So if you have any advice as far as people who want to compete in nail competitions for the first time, like what will be some words of advice?
Yeah, of course. I think something that I've noticed now that I get to judge a lot more is that people do not go up to the judges and ask for criticism, especially because I call myself the mean judge because I judge. Oh gosh, I recently judged at Premiere Anaheim. That was like February,
Hmm.
and I think the highest score I gave was a 7,
Oh, wow.
15.
Mm.
So when I competed, I would go up to the judge and say, "Hey, why did I score so low? What can I do to improve my work?" Because without constructive criticism you can't grow because then you're always going to be stuck in that cycle and you're always going to be stuck in
Right.
that bubble, and without knowing where your mistake is you can't improve on it because then you're just going to keep doing the same thing wrong over and over and over. And I
Right.
noticed that too is that people don't they either get too emotional when it comes to constructive criticism, or they think that their poop don't stink and they don't want any criticism. They're like, oh, this judge just doesn't like me or something like that.
Right.
And I think for me, it was really important to go up to a judge and say, okay, so if I'm getting such a low score, because when you compete, you have to look at it as a whole. So you have 100 points, and if it's design sculpture nails, only 10 points is the design. Then you have 10 points for first impressions. You have 10 points for lateral sidewalls. You have 10 points for C curve. You have 10 points for apex. So a lot of
Right.
people put a lot of focus in the design and they don't focus on everything else too. So you have
Right.
to
Yeah.
view the whole thing as a whole in order to accumulate as many points as possible too. Because I've seen people win with a really crappy design, but everything else was really good too.
Mm.
Oh, well, this design is not as good as mine, but they won because either your design is really good, but you have dust under your nails, or your nails too thick, or there's different factors and things like that too. So people have to, I think, take that into consideration. Also, go to the judge. It costs you nothing. We are super eager and enthusiastic to give feedback to people because we have so much knowledge too. Because I've been doing this like 26 years now. Some of the other judges have been doing it for. I've been doing it 26. They've been doing it for 30 plus years too. So I think it's really important to get that feedback, and it's free. A lot of people charge for feedback and or criticism and education and things like that too. But if you're already making the investment, the judge is there in person. Sometimes we'll even like at Premiere or San Antonio, we took out a file and we showed a girl how to file her sidewall straight on her stiletto, and it automatically made the nail look like it was wearing Spanx. It made it a lot more tapered and narrow and straight, and it took us nothing. And I really like that because then when you see that change in your work, that goes to show that you learn something and that I'm doing a good job by teaching you and making you grow and improve.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. You make a very good point because I think constructive criticism is very, very important, especially nowadays in the industry. I really noticed that people don't, you know, and this isn't everybody, but enough. They have a hard time taking constructive criticism, and it helps. Like constructive criticism is supposed, like how you said, it's supposed to help the industry propel and grow. How do you
Exactly.
grow? How do you grow and evolve in industry if you can't take constructive criticism? And the whole thing also too is that constructive criticism is categorized as negativity or drama of some sort or whatever. And that's not always the case. You know what I mean? So there's a difference between constructive criticism to help you say, hey, there's something where you can improve on versus it being about being judgmental or being about drama. And I think people have to understand the difference.
That's like if I go on the internet and somebody posts a picture of nails, I'm like, oh, these nails are ugly. Well, like, why do I care if those nails are ugly or not? If somebody likes them, that's one thing. But if you're competing and you're like, well, I'm not winning, then that's kind of when it comes in and you're okay. So your nails, for example, there's a lot of, it's very formulaic when you compete. Like the nail should be twice as long as it is wide. The nail bed should be 1 to 1. The nail should come straight out, but now people are not making their nails straight out. They put their forms up and then the nail goes up and it looks like Aladdin's shoe, so there's no apex.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
going this way, it's going this way up.
Yeah.
So there's all these things, and then people are like, oh well, this is how the competition nails look now, and it's like, well, why do they look like that now if they shouldn't? Because how can I score you an apex if you don't have an apex because your nail's going up?
Yeah. It's making that like,
I don't think it looks good. And then also, like, there's one of the cool things about the circuit that I'm in right now when I judge is that we kind of have our set rules already. So, for example, some people like the apex or the stress point to be in the middle of the nail. Some people like it to be closer to the cuticle area. I personally like it closer to the cuticle area. So the nail should go 0, 10 degrees, and then go straight out.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we'll say the nail should go 0 and then go up 30 degrees to the stress point and then go out. So there's all these different rules and things like that too. But also trying to bring that into your salon work because you got to practice a lot. In order, like, I remember I didn't win first place until like 2 years of constantly competing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let yourself down and get that criticism. It's really important. It's really important to know what you're doing wrong, because if you stay in your bubble, and I think especially for us in the Western world, like when I decided to further my career and my education in nails, I went to Russia
Mm-hmm.
because in Russia they would tell me that I was doing something wrong, and then they would make me fix it. And I think for us in the Western world, we're a little bit more sensitive in that respect. That people are more sensitive with.
Mm-hmm.
I remember teaching one time, and the lady told me that she's been doing it how she's been working for so long, and her clients are happy. And I was like, well, then what are you doing here then? Why do you want me to show you how I do things, or how I can show you how to improve if you're comfortable already and you plateaued, for a lack of a better word, and you're in this bubble. And when you're in a bubble, like for example, if you work in a salon every day and your clients are like, oh my god, you're the best, you're doing so good, then you don't really get to grow. And that kind of I that hit me in the face when I competed for the first time too.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I want to get into as far as your nail business, your global nail business called ENail Couture. So
Yeah.
tell us about your nail business and was there any setbacks that you faced building your brand?
Yeah, so what I do now, I don't do nails anymore. A lot of people say, oh, can I make an appointment? I'm like, no, because I don't work on clients anymore. But what I do now is I focus on manufacturing and product development and sales with enailcouture.com, which is a company that I run. And I decided to start the company because I had felt I had plateaued already in my career. So I stopped competing because I was spending a lot of money competing and I wasn't making money back
Mm.
because I would have to fly out a model. Because when you get really serious about competing, you have a model. Because 50% of it is you and 50% of it is the model. Your nails look like that because the model's hands look like that.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you have a really good model, you don't let her go. So it's like, she's your nail wife almost, because especially if somebody has really long fingers and really long nail beds, the smile lines just come out like butter, like perfect, because the model's nails look like that too.
Right.
So we would
Mm-hmm.
do, actually, I remember we would go to sushi restaurants because
Mm-hmm.
usually like Japanese girls or Korean girls, they have those really long nail beds with
Mm-hmm.
really deep smile lines. So
Mm-hmm.
when you put your form on, the smile line does itself because the nail bed looks like that already. because we
Right.
didn't use cover powders back in the day. We used, we
Right.
would go in with white first, and then we would sculpt out the smile line. So that was,
Mhm.
you would spend money on models. You would have to fly out your model. You would have to accommodations, all that kind of stuff. So it was really expensive to compete. And I got to the
Mhm.
point where I was spending so much money, and I was putting my business to the side, and my business is my, my bread and butter, doing nails, because I had a nail salon at the time too. So I kind of decided to stop competing, kind of, take a step back and focus on growing my salon more and being behind the
Mhm.
chair. And then I was in the salon, and what had happened? I honestly got tired of working on people. I got tired of dealing with customers. I remember when you work in the service industry, people tend to look down upon you, and they tend to speak down upon you too, because they're paying you for a service. So, and it happens a lot with like waiters and hosts and things like that too. And I honestly did not like it. I remember I had one client told me that I had to do what she wanted to, what kind of nail she wanted, because she was paying me. And
Mhm.
you know what? I don't have to take it anymore. So
Mhm.
I didn't want to be in the service industry anymore, and I wanted to do something more with my career, because I already had a background in manufacturing and in product development when I worked for another company for doing R&D for about almost 11 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And social media had just started coming up, so that's when Instagram had first launched and Facebook. And I remember people asking me, "Oh, what product are you using? Where can I buy it?" And I was like, well, instead of selling somebody else's, might as well sell mine, because I already had a pretty bad experience when I did R&D, and I developed a product and a name for a company, and I didn't get any credit for it. It felt really crappy.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
that's when I was like, well, you know what? I think this chapter of my life is done here. So let's move on to something else. And
Right.
when people started asking me about, what am I using or things or something, I was like, you know what? Instead of selling somebody else's, I should sell my own. And I had a very clear vision in my mind about what I wanted to look like, how I wanted to perform, and everything as a whole for the product and for the brand and for the company. And I really wanted to bring a different aesthetic that we had not seen in the Western nail industry at the time. Because now there's a lot of companies with pink jars, but I like to say I think I was the first company to make, the iconic, very girly, almost like Japanese Sailor Moon
That's
cupcake.
so cute.
So, and that's how it
Mhm.
started. And I remember I was talking to clients about it all the time, and a lot of people said I shouldn't do it because I already had a really successful nail salon, and I had a career in education, and I
Mhm.
already had a background in competing, and I should just focus on that versus, taking a gamble with it too. So I worked on a business plan. I went to the bank, and the bank turned me down. They said it was too much of a
Oh.
risk because I had no collateral for them to take. If they gave me a big loan, and I fail to pay the loan or whatever, they're like, you don't have anything for us to take back. You don't have a car. You don't have a house. You're too much of a financial risk. So they lent me, I think, $10,000 to start the company, which in the vast bubble of manufacturing is nothing. It's not even one machine to like make powder or anything like that too. So I took the loan, and I remember talking to my clients all the time. And one client was she wanted to invest in the company, but she wanted to be part owner in it, and I said no, because for me as a man, I wanted to prove to myself and to all my peers that if the company was a success, it was because of me and what I did, and if the company was a failure, it was because of what I did as well. So
Right.
I turned her down, and I actually ended up having a client lend me $1 million to start the company. Somebody else did, and
Wow.
she lent it to me at a 3% interest, and I had to pay her back in 3 years. But she owns 0% of the company. She did not have any hearsay. If I defaulted on the loan, I still had to pay her back if the company flopped or anything like that. So I'm a really religious person too. So I actually I had a lot of faith in what I did, and I prayed a lot about it. And I went in knowing that God was not going to let me have a failure as a company. And one thing
Mhm.
led to another, and I paid her back in 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Like $1 million. Wow. That's crazy.
yeah. Her daughter is the CEO of Gap, or was the CEO of Gap.
Oh, wow. Really?
Her her husband was a big shot attorney out in the Bay Area.
Wow. Wow.
He
And you
came
know
from
what I go ahead.
So she came from money and she believed in what I wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve, but she also knew that it was going to be a financial risk on her end. But
Mm.
it was really important for me that I am, sole proprietor, sole owner of everything, because I don't like people telling me what to do or how to do it. I guess I'm kind of hard headed in that respect.
Yeah, and the thing what I find so interesting about your packaging, it does give me like the vibes of like when you look at packaging in like Korea or like in Japan, those especially in Korea. The thing I like about Korean packaging, especially with nail products, is not only it's very vibrant and very, very colorful, but also they are big into mascots or like different animal characters.
Hmm.
Like whether it's like and just go beyond the nail products, even with like food products, like there or skincare products, it's always like a cute animal, And I remember um getting this nail collection. It's like Korean based gel, and like the mascot was like a duck, on the beach or something like that,
It's
and so
themed.
yeah, yeah, it's themed, yeah. So I like with your aesthetic, it's very, very cutesy, very, very pink, something that women would like.
Yes, and some people hate it, and people are like, "Oh, you should make a different color," and I was like, "Well, maybe you should buy a different company product then."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're going for where the market is,
Yeah, and
and
I think enailcouture.com has been. I think the worst is already over, in regards to we've already been out for 11 years.
hmm
This is our 10-year anniversary this year in September, God willing. That the company has been public in regards to it took about a year to develop everything, to get the equipment to manufacture, because we manufacture everything in house here in Arizona too.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
okay.
we're in a 30,000. It's not 30,000. It's like 4,500 square foot facility that I own.
Oh wow, wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
So we're really lucky to be able to do everything in house, and that helps keep the cost down too, because our products are really affordable too, versus everybody else's or what's on the market. Our products are very, very reasonable, and we have a really wide variety of products. I think a little excessive, because we have 2,000 colors in 5 lines.
Oh wow, wow,
Yeah, we have a
that's a
lot,
lot. Yeah, that's a lot. Wow.
and
I want to
hopefully
get
more, especially now that people are really scared about tariffs and everything like that. Well, I'm like, well, you can
yeah.
buy from me. I don't have any. We won't. So you don't have to worry about price hikes.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, most definitely. So I want to get into it just as far as the business end of like brand ownership. So what are some of the most important things to consider in regards to business and like financially when running a nail brand?
Hmm. That's a hard question. I think get a good accountant.
hmm
Get a good accountant, because that can make you or break you. And I think don't work with yes people.
Yeah.
And I think focus on things that people actually want or that actually sell. But see, what happens is that, for example, if you get a lot of feedback from people, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, make this, make that," and then when you make it, they don't buy it.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So, and then you're stuck with all this inventory of like 50,000, cups to clean your watercolor brush in, for
Yeah,
example.
right.
So it's really important to analyze the market and be very strategic with what you manufacture, what you don't manufacture.
Yeah.
Um, uh, you know what? You want to hear a little like controversial story?
Sure.
'Cause I'm just always wrapped up in controversy. When I first launched the full cover nail,
hmm
so there's a cute little story about it. So there was two people that told me to make full cover tips. One was a friend of mine, Julie Candlelac, who we were in Paris, and she's like, "Oh, you really should think about it." And then she told me what she liked and what she didn't like about what was in the market. And
Right.
then another friend of mine, he also said, "Oh, I don't like what's in the market right now. It looks like a Dorito, this and that. You should make it like this." And I analyzed what was in the market, and
hmm
then I decided to move forward with producing something, because honestly, when the full cover nail first came out, I personally was not a fan of it, because I come from a background of sculpting and forms, and competing in that like very structured kind of in
Right.
side
That in,
nails.
yeah.
So when I first saw that, I honestly, like, I'll admit it, I said, "Oh, those kinds of nails are for people that don't have talent, because you're not sculpting a nail; it's already done for you." So
hmm
I was very critical about the full cover tips when they first came out, and I ate my words, because now it's like I sell millions and millions and millions of them all the time. So we decided to launch it. It launched within like 24 hours. Thousands of units were sold, and I was like, wow, this is, I ate my words. So I
Mm.
decided to take. I didn't invent the wheel, and I never said I did. But there were people saying, "Oh, I stole from this brand or anything like that," and I was like, "No, I didn't. I didn't go into their warehouse and take anything from them." That's like saying only McDonald's can sell hamburgers. It's a free market, and we live in a country where we can have free market and we can compete against each other selling stuff. And
Mm.
I think that probably makes other people that sell full cover tips more competitive. I know it for me. I'm a very competitive person by nature,
Mm.
so it makes me want to sell more. And sometimes I go over the top, and we have over 100 different styles of nails. I think that's probably one of the biggest in the industry that I know of. But I think one thing is really important is stay in your lane and they stay in theirs. And I don't mess with other people in regard to like other brands, or if I have friends that sell nail products as well too, like for example Reddy Wan or Christy Meekin. When we meet and we hang out and things like that, I think the last thing we talk about is nails too, because I don't like to have friendships that are based just on nails or selling nail products and things like that too, because then I don't feel like it's a genuine friendship.
Mm. Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think one of the setbacks too is just be really careful with your money, get yourself a good accountant, and try to make something that's different, or try to reinvent the wheel, fill in the loopholes and what you feel is missing or lacking from your industry.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. Now, I want to get into just as far as, favorite nail products or nail shapes. So, what has been some of your favorite nail products to use, but also your favorite nail shape as well?
I love the 1 2 3 go system, the full cover nails, because they're so much fun and easy to do, because I'm lazy and I don't like to sit for a long time because I ain't got no butt, so it hurts to sit for a long time. I love to sculpt nails. I love to apply acrylic and to shape it. I think our acrylic system is really top tier. And when it comes to like French, like our white acrylics are so bright and beautiful and easy to use. I think our acrylics, I really pushed them a lot when we first launched, but then when the full cover nail came out, when the 1 2 3 go really took over, that I focused so much towards that, and also was during the pandemic too. So I focused a lot of people that wanted to do their own nails or people that sold press-ons. So that also helped boost our sales too. So we got to evolve, and right now we're at a stage where we're like in between. So we do a little bit of everything, but
Right.
honestly, I think all of our systems are incredible, and I stand behind everything I make too, because I wouldn't make it if I didn't like it. That's why I don't make dip. That's why I don't make dip, because I don't like dip. And people are like, "Oh, you still make it?" And it's like, why should I make something I don't believe in or something I don't use? What would be the point of it? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Right.
But I think everything we make is like, it has so much love and it has so much heart in it. But I really love our acrylic system.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. What's like your favorite nail shape?
Long,
Long. Okay.
about that life. I long nails, just covered in bling and lots of tchotchke and uh,
Mm.
the top kind of stuff. But I
Mm.
also love pink and white. I love a good French.
Mm. Yeah, that's really, really cool. Absolutely. Now, what are some things you like about the nail industry, but also what are some things you think the nail industry could be improved on?
I think one of the things I like about the nail industry, I think it's a creative outlet for a lot of people. Now that I live stream a lot, I live stream almost every day. I get a
Wow.
little interaction with people, and I think it's really cool that you almost like form a family with people, and it
Mhm.
brings comfort to them. And I also love, so I kind of compare this with like Hugh Hefner. I know it's kind of weird, but Hugh Hefner really glamorized women, with like the
Mhm.
covers of Playboy magazines. Like they were so glamorous with the hair and the makeup, and they were just like so over the top. And I love glamour, and I
Mhm.
kind of like see myself like I make something that makes people feel like, even now, like people of all of everything wear nails now. Not just, it's not exclusive for women. So I love the ability to make people feel better about themselves and to feel glamorous, and it's giving them an affordable luxury, and just making, when you make something and you see somebody buy it and use it and it makes an improvement in their life, I think that's really cool. So that's what I really like about the industry.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely, most definitely. What do you think about some of the things that you think the nail industry could be improved? Like, how could it be improved, the nail industry?
You know what? I don't like arrogance. I don't like attitude. And when you see people in the industry, they think they're they have 100,000 followers. They think they're a celebrity. And it's like, girl, you paint nails. You don't, you're not a rocket scientist. You're not curing, cancer. You paint nails. There's no need for the attitude or the
Right.
deviance of it. And I don't care for that. And I think, people get a little bit of success and their head gets really big. And
Right.
luckily, I don't feel like that happened to me. I actually
Right.
think I'm a boring person. And when people meet me in person, I always say, don't meet me because you're gonna get disappointed because I'm really boring. Because I think they expect like this really over the top personality, and they're
Hmm.
just they don't get that. But that's one of the things I don't like about our industry is that people actually think that they're this like arrogance or that they're celebrities or they're bigger than what they do, and they don't tend to last in our industry. And maybe you've probably seen people come and go a lot, which is kind of sad too. And I think
Yeah.
being humbled and the base of people I work with, I feel also keeps me
Mhm.
grounded. Because I think if I got a big head, my mom would get a shoe and hit me with it.
So yeah, so I want to get into just as far as just the journey of being in the nail industry. So what are some things you found the most rewarding in terms of like being in the nail industry, and especially being in business?
I think both of them are really different experiences. And something I found really rewarding, like I said, was making people feel better about themselves. When you
Hmm.
do a service and you almost become like a psychiatrist, like therapy for them, because you sit there and you hold their hands for an hour or forever how long the service is, and they really tend to open up with you. And especially when you work
Hmm.
full time,
Right.
your
Yeah.
money's in your clients coming back. So when people come back and they see you, every 2 weeks or whatnot, you really build that relationship. And it's unfortunate that when I decided to switch over from being a nail technician to being a manufacturer and running a business, I
Hmm.
lost a lot of that too. But that's because also those people didn't believe in me, so I kind of just got rid of them, and I didn't want them in my life anymore because I wasn't useful to them anymore. So
Right. Absolutely, most definitely. I think there's so many, and also to add within the nail industry, there's so many complexities to the industry. Like it's not just the artistic side of things. I think where a lot of people, you know, even when I jumped in it, it was like, oh, I love the artistic side of things. I love like the glitz and the aesthetic of it. But we don't peel back, I think, enough of the layers of the industry.
yeah,
And I
because
think,
it's pretty on the outside, but inside it can get really ugly. And I think
yeah.
any industry can also have a lot of catty people and a lot of negativity. And I'm no saint either, and we all have our faults in that regard too. But I think
Mhm.
some people can also take it a little bit far.
Yeah, right. Absolutely, most definitely. There's so many things that is like just in the nail industry. It's very very nuanced, very layered. Like it's not even just the artistic side, it's the business side, the marketing side, social media end of it. Then there's the ego side of it. Like how you said about the arrogance, where some people just have this thing that they think that they're better than people or they're untouchable.
Oh, totally. And you see that a lot too. And like I said, those people don't tend to last more than 5 or 7 years.
Yeah, right. Absolutely, most definitely.
I see a lot of one-trick ponies lately too.
Mm. I want to get into just as far as just mental health. So, how do you balance being a nail brand owner with life and mental health?
Ooh, that's a really good question. That's the one I was excited to answer because honestly, I think I kind of I guess I kind of live my life on the internet too because I'm always on social media. I think it's
Mhm.
really important if you decide you want to compete or you decide you want to, put yourself out there. You have to
Mhm.
have really thick skin and you can't let things bother you or get underneath your skin. And I mean, we all have our moments. I know I sometimes clap back and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. But like, if you have somebody going on you're live streaming and she's like, oh, my glitter gel polish is too thick. And it's like, well, it's supposed to be like that. No, it's not. It's too thick. Send me a new one. And it's like, girl, can you please like send an email? No. Yeah.
Right.
Like, no, you know what? Our house is gonna fall on you, witch. And it's like, come on, like.
Yeah, right.
And then there was a time like every day people just come for you, and it's like, ugh. But like you just have to like kind of like let it brush off. You can't let things bother you. And when you put yourself out there, not only are they going to critique your work, they're going to critique how you look, how you weigh. They used to say I was too fat, now they say I'm too skinny. And it's like you can't make anybody happy. So just surround yourself with a group of people that will help keep you grounded as well too. Don't have a lot of
Absolutely.
yes people. I think that's
Yeah.
also really unhealthy.
Right.
And if I have a hard day, I know this is gonna sound really cheesy, and people probably don't believe me, but I just pray, and I get peace in that.
Mm. Yeah, I think definitely, having a tough skin is very, very important. Or having that balance where, you have that, thick skin. And, I think it's understanding there's a time and place for everything. And I think that is learning how to navigate the industry. I think it's the more you know, the more you understand how to navigate and how to protect yourself in the industry. I think that's also very important too. But definitely also too, mental health is very, very important. I'm glad that nowadays that's more in conversation, like depression and anxiety and things like that. How do you manage those things? Like, it's okay to speak to people, get help, and things like that. So I'm glad that
And
that,
say that you're not okay too. There's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm not okay. I'm not
yeah.
having a good day." There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's actually, I think it's kind of healthy. Just sometimes you have to shut off, turn off your phone, and have a day to yourself and do something that makes you happy. And I'm really lucky that I have the opportunity to travel a lot. So I try to mix all my travel with something that's work related. Like for example, next weekend I'm going to Saudi Arabia.
Oh wow, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I just got my badge today. So I'm gonna go to Beauty World Saudi Arabia. So I'll be there for
Oh
4 days,
wow.
and then I'm going to Dubai for another 4 days.
Oh wow. Wow, that's really, really incredible.
Yeah, because if you do the same thing every day, it kind of gets monotonous. So I've been live streaming
Yeah.
nails every single day for 10 years. So I love fragrance. So I was like,
Mm.
why not go to the birthplace of perfumery and go to Arabia and have a very elaborate tax write off to go buy perfume.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I seen on your stories you would review like different perfumes and stuff like that.
They're both really, really cheap ones and like super niche, expensive ones. But I just love fragrances. And it's almost, I guess, for like people that buy nail stuff from me, they get that little instant gratification. It's the same with me. I love, and I love to smell good too because I love a compliment. And I would imagine someone that wears
Yeah,
nails, it's kind of the same too when someone sees your nails and they're like, "Oh, I like your nails. Where do you get them done at or whatnot?" I like when someone says, "Oh, you smell really nice."
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, most definitely. Now, what's like your favorite fragrance, possibly?
That's a hard one. So I'm like really extreme. I like really like sweet. Like I got one today. I
Hmm.
like really sweet, like synthetic-y, like bubblegummy scents that smell like candy and pineapple. Or I
Hmm.
also like really like oud. Do you know what oud is?
Mm-mm.
So oud is basically a rotted tree sap that's been rotting for like hundreds of years.
Oh wow. Okay.
There, it's if real oud is very expensive, it's actually more expensive than gold.
Mm.
Like a really long time to make. Like the tree will be rotting for like 50 to 60 years, and then
Mm. Wow.
boil it for 30 days to get the oil out of it. But it smells it smells a bit animalic and strong. It smells like a
Hmm.
rich Arabian person. It's kind of incensey, but a little musky and a little bit animalic, and I really like that kind of scent too because it's polarizing, and I'm a polarizing kind of person. You either love it or hate it. So I like that really
Yeah.
strong kind of scent too because I
Hmm.
I'm anemic because I had gastric bypass surgery.
Oh wow. Okay.
I used to be really big. You didn't know that?
Mm-mm.
I
No.
used to be 544 pounds.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was
Wow.
the biggest weight, 544 pounds. It was 13 years ago that I had gastric bypass surgery.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I've been able to keep it off. Um, no, I forgot where I was going with it.
You're talking about the perfume. It was like no, it was a fragrance called Ude. I forgot what it's called.
Oh, oud, oud. That's the
Oud. Okay.
yeah, that's the ingredient. And if a perfume has real oud in it, it's quite pricey. But because I'm anemic, a lot of things don't last on me or they don't project. So like
Okay.
someone can spray themselves with Bath and Body Works and smell like $1 million, and I spray myself with like a $2,000 bottle of perfume and it only lasts like 10 minutes, and that's because my body doesn't produce heat like a normal person, so
Right.
nothing really lasts on me. So I'm gonna go and find the strongest fragrance that I can find that will last.
Yeah, absolutely, most definitely. Last but not least, where can people find you on social media, and how can people support you and ENail Couture?
Of course. So you can find me as King of Nail, and that was not self-appointed. That was not a self-appointed name. My teacher in Russia actually she called me that, so I kind
Uh,
of stuck with it. That's where I got
mm,
my handle from. And so all my handles on like TikTok, Instagram, are King of Nail, and on YouTube, on Facebook, you can
mm.
either find me under my name Max Estrada or under ENail Couture.
All right, that's absolutely really, really great. Well, thank you so much, Max, for jumping
Yeah,
onto the show.
appreciate
Uh,
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a very wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for your insight, especially about nail competitions, your insight in the industry as well. I really enjoyed like our conversation, being more in depth and telling back the layers of the industry as well.
Yeah,
So
of
thank you so
course.
much.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, absolutely. Take care. Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye bye. Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also, follow me on my social media platforms and be on the lookout for more interviews to come very soon. Take care, stay healthy, and stay beautiful. Bye bye.